Hi and welcome to the Soni Show. I'm super excited and super thrilled to make you meet my next guest today. He is a great entrepreneur because he has lots of national and international awards under his name. Not just that, he is a CEO of Illuminance Solutions, which is a global award-winning business. Not just that, he is also an inspiration for many international students, migrants who come here in this city to make something big. And not just that, he has written a book, Terminal 4, Entrepreneur's Journey from Bicycle to Business Class, which has lots of tricks and tips for you if you're coming to Perth, Western Australia as a student. He has been himself a migrant and traveled across all over the world, but finally he has settled down in Perth and doing it so well here. Please welcome my next guest, Nilesh Makwana. Hello Nilesh, thank you. Thank you so much for being a part of the Soni Show. I'm super excited to have you here today.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, your journey from India to Australia is nothing short of being magical and inspirational. Would you like to tell our viewers a little bit about your past, from where you're from India?
Sure. My journey started as a child growing up in Gujarat city called Rajkot.
Okay.
And my parents had moved to Mumbai and my brothers sisters. But my grandfather was there, so I stayed with my grandfather for a few years.
Okay.
And then I moved to Mumbai. And from Mumbai, I moved to UK in London for my A-level high school and then university degree.
Okay.
And while I was in UK, I traveled around the world because I was working for an airline at Heathrow Terminal. Then 12 years ago, I moved to Perth, Western Australia. So it's been a few different cities, but now I would say Perth is home, for me.
Perth is home.
Yeah.
So why you decided Perth? Because you have traveled so many places. Like, what made you choose Perth?
Well, so 2011, when I came as a tourist. So I had a KLM Royal Dutch Airline job with Heathrow Airport in London, and I was using staff travel. So I went to Southeast Asia to Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, and Australia I came. And when I came here, I saw that half the Britain was here. All the Britishers are here. The great weather, a great economy, pretty much what you expect in UK, but even better here. And at that stage, Australia was still not impacted by financial global crisis or anything. It was a booming state. And when I saw, why would you live in a dark, dull, gloomy, rainy weather in London? And that charm is no longer there. Which people used to say, oh, UK, But the life here is where people live.
Sunny here.
And you drive like a king and you park like a king here, So Western Australia at that stage when I did my research was under regional category for visa purposes, migration purposes. And also the most amount of jobs were available in IT so I can continue. Western Australia was regional, considered as a regional state for migration purposes. And most amount of jobs in IT were available here in Western Australia. And the time difference between India and Western Australia is 2.5 hours compared to Melbourne and Sydney, which is 5 hours. Also, the lowest amount of unemployment rate was 1.2 or 1.3%, and the WA was a lot of jobs available here. So it made a lot of sense to be in WA rather than big city like Melbourne and Sydney where everybody goes. And at that stage, as soon as I arrived, finding a job, finding a business, starting a business from day one, getting projects and everything was not that difficult. And once I lived here, then I realized that actually it's a hidden gem, It's a heaven.
It's a beautiful place.
It's a beautiful place. So I thought it was the right choice and right decision at the time. And now I don't think after traveling to 54 countries around the world and seeing so many different cities everywhere, I would not live anywhere else apart from Perth.
Wow, that's so interesting to see. Good feedback for Perth people. We all love Perth so much. I would like to also ask about Illuminance Solutions because this is your business and viewers would like to know more about it.
So Illuminance Solution is, in a simple term, it's a technology company, but they specialize in Microsoft technology.
Right.
So Microsoft imagine as a Lego company and they build different Legos.
Yeah.
So they have different systems like Microsoft Dynamics 365, Microsoft Business Central, SharePoint, Power Platform.
Yeah.
So they got different systems and we specialize in that.
Okay.
And we specialize in non-for-profit sector.
Okay.
So aged care sector, disability sector, Indigenous Corporation Trust, any non-for-profit organization which requires technology, we specialize in that. So you could say it's a technology company, Microsoft partner, specialization in NFP, and we say we live by tech for social impact mantra. So we do work in technology which creates a social impact out there and everything. So that's the business, and we got office in Adelaide and South Australia here in Perth, and also we have a client all over the country. So a lot of clients in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, here in Perth. So it's a national firm, but headquarter here in WA.
So Illuminance Solution has received so many awards for you because you have highlighted diversity and inclusivity. You have hired more than 26 country people to your organization.
A lot of nationalities here, yes.
So that's amazing. So what was the motive or what was the idea, thought behind it?
Well, we didn't start business to become diverse or to hire people with diversity background or anything. That wasn't the motivation. What was the motivation is to find people who could do the job.
Okay.
And if they can perform, and if they have the learning mindset, growth mindset, which means if you are in IT, you cannot stop learning.
Right.
So you could be from anywhere, any background. You could be male, female, young, old, disabled.
Any age group.
You could be refugee, you could be student.
Okay.
Doesn't matter, right? As long as you have the working rights. And because I was myself a student migrant, I understand that there are different visa systems which allows you different work permits and everything. So we were open to anybody and everybody, but they are on probation, and if they don't perform, we have to let them go. Okay. And we also have fired people who hasn't been doing well, and we have to let them go. So it's not, the client doesn't care whether you are diverse or not.
Right.
The client cares about that you solve their problem and you provide good customer service.
Right.
So there is nothing about diversity inclusion per se in terms of as a strategy. But what we have is we don't have bias.
Right.
We don't have a barrier to entry. And if you can perform, you can do a good job, you stay and you get rewarded. And then of course you get support training, you get a bit of a mentorship, you get a bit of flexibility and everything. That's given to everybody regardless of who you are and everything. So I think by nature we were open to recognizing the talent. And then slowly it became a diverse organization, and we ended up having a most diverse work culture and team.
Right. How was your background like as a child, like with education and everything?
Oh, I mean, I was...
You were always studious? Or?
No. Opposite of that. So year 10, which is SSC standard in India, I failed 4 times, and I was never into classroom, always outside the classroom. That's why the book says bicycle to business class, because I was on a bicycle riding around outside in the city, not studying in the classroom. So I would say I pretty much didn't study in the entire school system.
Okay.
So, but because the school I was studying into, my grandparents were sort of like founding members and board members and others.
Right.
So they promote you to the next class.
Yeah.
And the school can keep putting you into the next class out of pity or connection.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to year 10, your school doesn't have the control of the exam.
Right.
So the state manages that exam. And there you cannot have a connections or whatever. So you fail. Not 1 time, not 2 times, not 3 times, but 4 times. And then I left studies. So I was opposite of studious.
So how did the mindset change?
So I had an ultimatum from family that if you're not studying, then you need to work. Okay. You cannot just sit at home, you know. And
some kind of job you have to do.
Some kind of job. But I was already doing some kind of business on the side, and always selling stuff and making money and everything. But I was more an entrepreneurial spirit. But my father wanted me to do a job, so I joined the computer shop as an assembly who does hardware assembly for computer, Windows 95 installation and printer and hardware to sell. And by 99, I became a web developer. So in 99, 2000, I must have designed more than 300 websites for exporters and manufacturers.
At that time, I think IT was a boom.
Booming, And it was before .com boom when it crashed 2002 and everything.
Right.
So I became interested in IT, web designing, software development, computer selling. And that's how my journey started in IT and business and everything. And then I decided to go back to studies.
It must be challenging.
No, it was much easier because there was access to internet.
Yeah.
And also I had a bit of a knowledge of the outside world.
Yeah.
And I selected Open School Year 10 in New Delhi because there you can select the subject. So I selected business studies, economics, accounting, computer, and English or something, which were subjects which I can. So I didn't like mathematics, I didn't like science, I didn't like history and others.
Yeah.
So I selected the subjects which I can enjoy and I understand, and I finished. And that motivated me to go to UK and do my A level at Cambridge and everything. And then I did my honors, and then I became masters, and then I became a lecturer at Edith County University to master level student, and I still do guest lecturing and everything. So I would say my early childhood education was zero, but then later on in life I flourished.
So what advice you'll give to the children who are like not good with education? Like, because yours is an inspiring story.
No, I believe that everybody is good at something.
Yeah.
All kids are gifted. They have some sort of gift which they are inbuilt.
Yeah.
Just because they are not good in certain subject or in school education system doesn't mean that they are not doing good. It's just that that system is not for them.
Right.
So you have to allow them to follow up what they could excel in.
Right.
I was good in doing business and selling and computers and everything, but not good in school.
That trick that you were good at doing business was like you realized it, or someone else realized it in your family that you're good in this?
No, I was doing it. Nobody knew. I mean, I was selling ball pens in school. I was selling stickers and I was always dealing with a different stuff, buying it for 1 rupee and selling it for 5 rupees.
Right.
So you just buy a big packet of stickers and you sell those stickers individually. And you make more money by that. So it was a basic concept. The business 101 is just you buy for $1, you sell it for $5, and you make money, right? And that was something I learned early on, and I kept doing it and just kept making money. So it wasn't that anybody forced me to do it. It's just I found on my own, and then and it interested me, and I kept doing more and more work in business. So I was not designed for a job. I have done many jobs, but I always wanted to do business.
Okay.
Since childhood. So that's what kind of kept me going, entrepreneurial.
That's nice. So you're a champion in digital technology world, and you have helped like bridging the gap with the indigenous people and also elderly and disabled people. How do you manage to do all that?
Well, I have done a lot of volunteering work to close the digital divide gap. What you are referring to is closing the digital divide.
Right.
And there are people out there who are left behind as the technology is progressing more and more, whether it's the remote communities, people with disabilities, senior citizens, whether it's a low socioeconomic background people.
Right.
So there are many out there who do not have access to connectivity, accessibility to the devices, they don't have the skills, and we have a digital poor community out there.
Right.
So we had to find a way to bring them along, and so that nobody's left behind. And over the 10 years period, I worked with state government and local government to create policies and changes with the government in terms of launching the digital inclusion blueprint for Western Australia. And recently we did host a 10-year conference with City of Stirling, largest council in Western Australia, with 4 other councils who sponsored and supported, and Walga W Local Government Association was a sponsor. And this is to change the disability access and inclusion plan to digital access and inclusion plan. So that people with local council who has the disability access and inclusion plan, the digital access and inclusion also is included into that plan. And these are the kind of activities which I've been advocating about, so that we are not leaving a certain group of people behind, and we are taking them along as the more and more everything is going digital. Now, why am I able to do this is because I don't have kids, and I have a lot of time in my hands, and it's something excites me. So you can do business, you can make money, but when you have something on the side which you like giving back, it makes it purposeful, it makes it meaningful. So you don't need extra time or energy because you're just enjoying it, and you're doing something which you believe in. So it just becomes a part of life, and you do what you can to make a difference out there.
So you are a technologist yourself, so what is your take on AI coming up and taking over the business and entrepreneurship, changing the face of it?
Well, whether we like it or no, every new innovation, technology, or any changes is taking its own course, and it's only making things better. And we are only going to be more productive, and the skills demands are changing, the education system is changing, healthcare is getting better, education will become more personalized because of the AI. So I think there are a lot of good stuff in there, a lot of good things about that, but at the same time it could create a balance in the society where if it remains in the hands of the few selected, then there is a power imbalance. And that's where the open source technology will play a big role. So that everybody has
I was also thinking that, because it will be like, it can be misused in many ways.
No, I mean, there's always, whether anything you design, anything new comes up, there's always going to be the bad group of people out there who will use it for wrong reasons that you cannot stop. But in anything in life, that's always going to continue, right? So we'll have to just stay on top of that and teach our kids and elders to stay safe and not fall for deep fakes or scams and other things. But this is where we are now, that we have to upskill, and the digital divide could harm more.
Absolutely.
And if you're not digitally savvy, then the world we are into won't help. So even digital inclusion becomes even more powerful now.
So you also the founder of Westech Assemblage. This is your 10th year, which is going to be great, amazing for tech leaders. So what exactly the concept is, and how you're getting the feedback from the community, how it's helping them?
So Westech Assemblage was born initially to bring tech leaders together under one roof to drive collaboration and innovation. And eventually, after 2 or 3 years, it became more about diversity inclusion for people with disabilities, senior citizens, Indigenous communities, or CALD communities. And the whole event or conference became about not leaving the marginalized communities behind. We launched the digital literacy training in remote areas in Broome and Pilbara and few other regions. Then we went to Banksia Hill, which is the detention center for kids. It's a prison for them. And we launched the digital literacy inclusion training there. Then we worked with a lot of non-for-profit and Indigenous Corporation and Trust to train a lot of community there. Then we ran cybersecurity training for senior citizens, how to be cyber safe. Currently we are doing it with City of Rockingham and few other local councils.
So the councils are helping you, supporting you in this course, right?
That's right, So we have developed a lot of partnerships and collaboration over the many years and to train and support. And we recently donated a lot of devices to St. Winnie for homeless shelter. So we are helping people who are on the street to be connected, because digital device is most important to them, to listen to the news and stay connected with their friends and family and others and everything. So it's very important for people who are experiencing difficulties out there. They also have some sort of digital means to stay connected and everything in there.
What challenges you faced, like, when you were starting up the business? Because, someone coming from a different country and making a mark here must be hard, must be tough. So did anyone supported you in the journey?
I think the first client who gives you opportunity to solve the problem and they pay you to do the job are important. And if you do a good job, then the second project comes, then that client is happy, then the third project comes. So I think getting the first break is not easy, but if you start small and you do a small project, then it leads to the second project and the third projects and everything. But there are work out there where people are demanding some skills and people to come and solve the problem. But it takes time. So business is not built in 1 year, 6 months, or 3 years to a year. So I would say even after 10, 12 years being here, it has been a long road and journey, but it's been consistent. And you have to think long term. Success is not, and there's a lot of hard work behind it, a lot of hard work, a lot of ups and downs and everything. But over the long period, you are happy that you did this journey, and you have that freedom and independence which you require. And eventually you start making money, but first few years are hard and everything, So it takes time to take off, but there is enough out there. Australia needs skilled people who can solve some of the problems and help deliver some solutions and everything.
What's your what's your advice for the people who are coming from India as a student or starting up a business, or
I think there is a lot of short-term thinking. They come and they start using each other and they just want to have a connections, and especially people from India, they want to just say, I know this and this person. can you help me? And they want to use the connections getting somewhere.
Yeah.
But that doesn't work.
Okay.
You have to prove yourself. And people usually use each other for a short-term goal, and they don't think long-term.
Right.
The people might give you a chance once or twice, and if you ruin that relationships, then it's hard to gain the trust again and everything.
Right.
So my advice would be to think long-term when you're coming here. And you say yes to everything, and then you don't do the job or don't deliver.
Right.
That creates a bad reputation for committee and for each individual,
Yeah.
So I think thinking long term while you are here is necessary when you start the journey. And my first client and second clients are still my friends after 12 years.
Wow.
I'm still in touch with them.
So it must be a good feedback then. Yeah. Also, I was curious to know that you have been a great public speaker, and you have been delivering lots of speeches in all the unis and universities and meeting lots of students. What is that one question that most of the, most of the places you have been asked about?
Yeah, I think most of the places they ask me says, how do you manage to do all these things in a short amount of time? Or because I wear so many hats and I have done so many things over the 10 years period, they always ask that how do you balance and life balance and work balance and everything.
Right.
And I just say that, hey, I don't have that concept of work-life balance, It's just a life in general.
Yeah.
You don't see Monday, Sunday, you don't see morning, evening. You take time off when you need to. Your body needs rest. You do take that rest. You stay healthy. But you enjoy and you be out there, you give your time, you support each other, you build business, you build network, you help people out there in need and everything. And it's just the way of life.
Yeah.
So you cannot just say that, okay, I am only going to do 9 to 5 and then I'm only going to give 1 day a week as a volunteer and everything.
Right.
So it's a different mindset where you are out there, but you are also looking after yourself when it's required, and you take your time for yourself as well.
Right.
And cycling is my hobby. I do a little bit tennis, I go swim, I go for a walk around the river. And when you don't have kids, it's a different lifestyle then.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of stuff, And when you start a family life, then your family becomes a priority.
Yes.
Yeah, so it depends on what stage of life you are in.
Right.
And how much time you can give. And if I have future kids and everything, then I'll be having less time and I'll be looking after them, because charity begins at home, So I've been fortunate that my early years I had a lot of time and I could give a lot of time outside in the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that the reason that when we see the website of Illuminance Solutions, it says open 24 hours? Because you're like, I'm like thinking like, sometimes it's written at 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or whatever. Yeah. So I think it's with the all IT sectors that they're like always ready to help you.
I think if you do a mission critical system deployment for your client,
right,
and sometimes you have to be available in case of emergency and everything. And if you are giving them the systems or technology which their entire organization relies on your system,
right,
then you need to be available for them anytime they need you. And that's one of the extra efforts you are putting in for your client.
Yeah.
So we make that service available but 99% of the time, nobody has called outside the office hours,
Yeah, you're lucky then.
Yeah.
You also believe in Gandhi ideologies.
Yeah.
And so how do you incorporate in your regular life? And you have been doing that in the form of art. So what was the idea behind it?
No, so when I grew up in India, I didn't pay much attention to history, or I knew he was a father of the nation and Mahatma Gandhi stood for the freedom fights and everything.
Right.
But I didn't really learn much or pay attention. And one day I was in London, going through London Underground train station, and there was a poster on the station says, "There is more to life than increasing its speed, M.K. Gandhi."
Okay.
And that was the quote which I thought, what does it mean? There is more to life than increasing its speed. And then in Australia they have a quote, they say you need to stop and smell the roses sometimes, right? So I was like, okay. And then I started reading more quotes from Mahatma Gandhi. And another quote was that if you believe in something, then you need to be ready to walk alone.
Right.
Or if you believe in something, then expect people to oppose you, then they will listen to you, then they will join you, and then eventually they'll follow you.
Right.
But initially they'll oppose you. So there were a lot of quotes which Mahatma Gandhi had written, and some of those famous quotes I started to recognize. And And I thought, this is quite interesting, the way his thoughts were, how he stood up for his aim and purpose and everything, how he led the movements and everything. So I got interested. I read a little bit more. But one of the things I liked was he said that your belief becomes your thought becomes your action, and action becomes who you are, and everything. So there was a lot of things which I started picking up and started applying into my life as well.
Right.
And eventually I learned that it was all about peace, equality, and non-violence, which was the bigger message.
Right.
And we named the organization Borderless Gandhi.
Yes.
Because his message was borderless, which he stood for whole humanity. He didn't have this peace, equality, non-violence just for the particular community, nation, culture, or religion. His message was universal. And what I learned is that around the world, the biggest leaders like Nelson Mandela, Barack Obama, or some of the great leaders out there, they also referred to him and referred to his message, and they learned from him and everything, right?
Right.
So I thought he's a world leader, and borderless would be the good name, Borderless Gandhi.
Borderless Gandhi. You got good feedback from the community?
Yeah, we did a lot of exhibitions. So we did exhibition inside the Perth Airport International Terminal 1. Then we did at Pan Pacific Hotel. We had Elizabeth Key near Bell Tower, the exhibition. Then we had exhibition in the Parliament of Western Australia.
Every year?
We did it for 7-8 years, for a very long time.
Okay.
And it was very well received. And we had a support from state government, local government, to some of the biggest organizations in this town. And we use art as a medium to promote the message, because art is more inviting rather than intrusive. So you allow the audience to come and interact with the art and get the message they like from him, rather than we going out there and imposing any ideology or thoughts and everything and all. So art was a good way to invite the audience to interact with it and everything.
So when you do all these events, like, does it take the money from your pocket, or do you get the support from the governments or
both? Yeah.
agencies?
So you have to always, of course, start with your own money and your own time and efforts and everything, your resources. But then you get supported by the state governments, local governments, and the private sponsors. So we had a lot of support from communities and others and everything. Yes, it was a mix of both. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And now we come to your book. It has always catch my attention, like Terminal 4, an entrepreneur's journey from bicycle to business class. So I'm assuming that bicycle is your, riding bicycle is your hobby.
Yeah.
That you
hobby and doing
mentioned.
business on bicycle. So as a young child, I used to sell a lot of stuff on bicycle. Yeah.
So what was the book all about? The tips and tricks to
So I think because I was invited to speak at a lot of conferences and events and guest lecture and everything, and there was always a question by people that how did you end up where you are, and how did you achieve this, and what was your journey like and everything. So I laid out the step by step everything happened and how I navigated life and what happened, and there are tips and tricks on each chapter. Whether you go to the new country, or you go to the new school, or you start a new business, or you looking into new relationships, you're forming a partnerships with a new person, you have some ideas how to go about it. So everything what I did, I laid it down in a manner which people can read and understand and see that okay, how did you go about this? This is almost like a blueprint in life and everything,
So if you are coming to Perth, Australia, or anywhere in the world, you can read this book and get lots of guiding tips from Nilesh Makwana. Can we expect any other book coming up from you in the coming days?
Well, I can't say yes and no on that, because this book which is there, it's written after 40 years of living a life in this world, and it's 40 years of journey, so I have to live
another 40 years,
10 years and before I have something substantial to say. So when you achieve a bigger milestone in life, and then people would say, hey, now we want to know about this one, then there could be a potential to say more. But I don't expect this to happen anytime soon, because I still need to live a few more years to kind of show something worth out there to the community,
Right. So you've almost got everything that you were aiming for. Is there anything remaining that you aim for in the next 5 years, or that, this is something I want to do?
Yeah, so I have traveled the world. I'm fortunate enough to have a good business and a good lifestyle and home and health. So very fortunate. And my brother's daughter, my niece is here, my cousin is here. So I would say I have a little family here as well. And I'm not sure if I am ready for kids or thinking about family. So I'm in the middle of that zone. And if I decide to go for a family life, then I'll be more focused on that for many years to come and everything.
Right.
So what's next? I'm in the middle thinking about it. What to achieve next. But I could say that as long as health is there and you are healthy, that's the priority. So I'm very fortunate that my iron levels are fine, B12 is good, no diabetes, cholesterol is good. So you are very healthy, happy, your blood tests are all good, and you're doing well. So I think as long as health is there, that's the most important. So that's my current focus.
So what's your message for the people who are coming to Australia to make it a home or for living?
I think if you're coming here, then it's necessary to make sure that you embrace the country, you embrace the culture, you contribute meaningfully. You want to take from the country passport, it will give you. You want home, it will give you. But it's necessary to ask the question, what are we doing here to come back and give back and everything. You want to earn here and shop in India, you can still do that, no problem. You want to send money back home, it's still good to do that. But this is your home country, this is your karma bhumi. You want to still try and come back and come to Australia and give back and be part of the community and not have a short-term thinking, So I think people come here, they want to build their own small little community, remain in the same religion, remain in the same language, same food habits, and they want to create a little mini India, which is good, necessary. But at the same time, it's necessary that we embrace Australia and put ourselves out there and contribute meaningfully back into the society. And our Indians are good at doing that. We have historically adapted any country we went there with our food, with our culture, with our religion, with our philosophy, whether it's yoga or festivals or anything. We have managed to contribute meaningfully to any country where we've been to. But professionally also it's necessary to help other professionals who are coming in here, help the community out there, be part of the politics as well, be part of the business community. So integrate as much as we can.
So how do you do to de-stress yourself? Because you're all the time working.
Jacuzzi, I love sitting in a jacuzzi. And then cycling around.
Do you do yoga and all?
Sometimes. So I have few stretching and few poses which I do regularly to make sure that my back, my shoulder, my neck, and knees and are all relaxed and continuing. So I think for me yoga is more daily routine part of some stretches, exercises which you do. So you don't have to kind of go 1 hour to yoga center and do that. You can stop bicycling for 15 minutes and you do few poses and stretches, and that's your yoga too.
Good. And your book, The Terminal 4, had a quote on every chapter in the beginning. And so if we have to end this podcast session here, what quote you would like to end it with?
Well, we can end with a quote by, I think it was Martin Luther King asked the country what you can do, not what country can do for you, or Mahatma Gandhi's quote that there is more to life than increasing its speed. So make sure that you slow down, you breathe, and you take it easy.
Feel everything.
And live in the moment as well, not just always worrying about the future. So it's necessary to slow down sometimes and not speed up everything in life all the time. So just taking it easy.
That's such a good message, that slow down, take it easy, feel everything. So thank you so much, Nilesh, for taking your precious time out and for being in the Soni Show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.